Artemis Fowl, reading 14, starting at page 151. Artemis's watch had stopped. It was as though Greenwich wasn't there anymore. Or perhaps, mused Artemis, were the ones who have disappeared. He checked CNN. It had frozen. A picture of Riz Khan jittered slightly on the screen. Artemis could not hold back a satisfied smile. They had done it. Just like the book said, the LEP had stopped time, according to plan. Time to check out a theory. Artemis wheeled over to the monitor bank and punched up the MAM cam on the 70-centimetre main monitor. Angeline Fowl was no longer on the chaise lounge. Artemis panned around the room. It was empty. His mother had gone, disappeared. His smile widened. Perfect, just as he suspected. Artemis switched his attention to Holly Short. She was banging that bed again. Occasionally she would rise from the mattress, pounding the wall with her bare fists. Maybe it was more than frustration. Could there be a method in her madness? He tapped the monitor with a slim finger. "What are you up to, Captain? What's your little plan?" He was distracted by a movement on the Avenue monitor. "At last," he breathed, "the games begin." A figure was advancing down the avenue, small but imposing nonetheless. Unshielded, too. Finished play acting, then. Artemis punched the intercom button. "Butler, we have a guest." "I'll show him in. You get back here and police the surveillance cameras." Butler's voice came back tinny through the speaker. 10-4, Artemis, on my way." Artemis buttoned his designer jacket, pausing at the mirror to straighten his tie. The trick to negotiation was to hold all the cards going in and, even if you didn't, to try and look as though you did. Artemis put on his best sinister face. Evil, he told himself. Evil, but highly intelligent. And determined. Don't forget determined. He put a hand on the doorknob. "Steady now. Deep breaths and try not to think about the possibility that you have misjudged this situation and are about to be shot dead. 1, 2, 3. He opened the door. "Good evening," he said, every inch the gracious host, albeit a sinister, evil, intelligent and determined one. Root stood on the doorstep, palms up, the universal gesture for, "Look, I'm not carrying a big murderous weapon." "So you're Fowl?" "Artemis Fowl, at your service, and you are?" "LEP, Commander Root. Right, we know each other's names, so we can get on with this." "Certainly." Root decided to chance his arm. "Step outside, then." Oh, no, that was Captain Root. "Step outside, then, where I can see you." Artemis's face hardened. "Have you learned nothing from my demonstrations? The ship? Your commandos? Do I need to kill something?" "No," said Root hurriedly. "You only meant to lure me outside where I could be snatched and used to trade." "Please, Commander Root, raise your game or send someone more intelligent." Root felt the blood pump through his cheeks. "Now you just listen to me, you young—" Artemis smiled, in command again. "Not very good negotiation techniques, Commander, to lose your cool before we even get to the table." Root took several deep breaths. "Fine, whatever you say. Where would you prefer to conduct our talks, then?" "Inside, of course. You have my permission to enter, but remember, Captain Short's life is in your hands. Be careful with it now." Root followed his host down the vaulted hallway. Generations of fowls glared down at him from classical portraits. They passed through a stained oak doorway to a long conference room. There were 2 places set at a round table, complete with pads, ashtrays, and water jugs. Root was delighted to see the ashtrays and immediately pulled a half-chewed cigar out of his vest pocket. "Maybe you're not such a barbarian after all," he grunted, exhaling a huge cloud of green smoke. The commander ignored the water jugs, instead pouring himself a shot of something purple from a hip flask. He drank deeply, belched, and sat. Ready? Artemis shuffled his notes like a newsreader. Here is the situation as I see it. I have the means to expose your subterranean existence, and you are powerless to stop me. So basically whatever I ask for is a small price to pay. Root spat out a shred of fungus tobacco. You think you can just pull all this information out over the internet, do you? Well, not immediately, not with the time stop in effect. Oh, Root choked on a lungful of smoke. Their ace in the hole rumbled. Well, if you know about the time stop, you must also know that you're completely cut off from the outside world. You are, in effect, powerless. Artemis jotted a note on the pad. Let's have some time here. I grow weary of your clumsy bluffs. In the case of an abduction, the LEP will first send a crack retrieval team to get back what has been lost. You have done so. Excuse me while I titter. Crack team? Honestly, a Cub Scout patrol armed with water pistols that could have defeated those people. Root fumed silently, taking out his anger on the cigar butt. The next official step is negotiation, and finally, when the 8 hours time limit is about to run out, and if no solution can be reached, a bio-bomb is detonated, contained by the time field. You appear to know an awful lot about us, Master Fowl. I don't suppose you'll tell me how. Correct. Root mashed the remains of his cigar into the crystal ashtray. So let's have it. What are your demands? One demand, singular. Artemis slid his notepad across the polished table. Root read what was written there. 1 ton of 24-carat gold, small unmarked ingots only. You can't be serious. Oh, but I am. Root sat forward in his chair. Don't you see? Your position is untenable. Either you give us back Captain Short, or we'll be forced to kill you all. There's no middle ground. We don't negotiate. Not really. I'm just here to explain the facts to you. Artemis smiled his vampire smile. Oh, but you will negotiate with me, Commander. Oh, really? And what makes you so special? I am special because I know how to escape the time field. Impossible, snorted Root. Can't be done. Oh, yes, it can, trust me. I haven't been wrong yet. Root tore off the top page, folding it up and putting it in his pocket. I'll have to think about this. Take your time. We have 8 hours. 7.5 hours. Then time's up for everybody. Root said nothing for a long time, while tapping his nails on the tabletop. He took a breath to speak, then changed his mind and stood up. We'll be in touch. Don't worry, I'll see myself out. Artemis pushed his chair back. You do that. But remember this. None of your race has permission to enter here while I'm alive. Root stalked down the hallway, glaring back at the oil paintings. Better to leave now and process this new information. The foul boy was indeed a slippery opponent, but he was making one basic mistake. The assumption that Commander Root would play by the rules. However, Julius Root hadn't got his commander's bars by following any rule book. Time for a bit of unorthodox, unheard of action. The videotape from Root's iris cam was being reviewed by the experts. You see here, said Professor Cumulus, a behavioural specialist, that twitch, he's lying. Nonsense, huffed Dr. Argon, a psychologist from below the United States. He's itchy, that's all. He's itchy so he scratches. Nothing sinister in it. Cumulus turned to Foley. Listen to him. How can I be expected to work with this charlatan? Witch doctor, countered Argon. Foley raised his hairy palms. Gentlemen, please, we need agreement here. A concrete profile, please. It's no use, said Argon. I can't work in these conditions. Cumulus folded his arms. If he can't work, neither can I. Root strode through the shuttle double doors. His trademark purple complexion was even rosier than usual. That human is toying with us. I will not have it. Now, what did our experts make of the tape? Foley moved slightly to the side, allowing the commander a clear run at the so-called experts. Apparently, they can't work in these conditions. Root's eyes narrowed to slits, bringing his prey into sharp focus. Excuse me? The good doctor is a half-wit, said Cumulus, unfamiliar with the commander's bad temper. I'm a half-wit, stuttered Argon, equally ignorant. What about you, you cave fairy? Plastering your absurd interpretations on the most innocent of gestures. Innocent? The boy was a bag of nerves, obviously lying. It's textbook. Root slammed a clenched fist onto the table, sending a spider's web of cracks scurrying across the surface. Silence! And silence there was, instantly. Now, you two experts are on handsome retainers for your profiling work, correct? The pair nodded, afraid to speak in case that broke the silence rule. This is probably the case of your lives, so I want you to concentrate very hard. Understood? More nods. Root popped the camera out of his weeping eye. Fast forward it, Foley, towards the end. The tape hopped forward erratically. On screen, Root followed the human into his conference room. There, stop it there. Can you zoom in on his face? Can I zoom in on his face? Snorted Foley. Can a dwarf steal a web from under a spider? Yes, replied Root. That was a rhetorical question, actually. I don't need a grammar lesson, Foley. Just zoom in, would you? Foley ground his tombstone teeth. Okay, boss, will do. The centaur's fingers prodded the keyboard with lightning speed. Artemis's visage grew to fill the plasma screen. I advise you to listen, said Root, squeezing the expert's shoulders. This is a pivotal moment in your careers. I am special, said the mouth on the screen, because I can escape the time field. Now tell me, said Root, is he lying? Run it again, said Cumulus. Show me the eyes. Argon nodded. Yes, just the eyes. Foley tapped a few more keys and Artemis's deep blue eyes expanded to the width of the screen. I am special, boomed the human voice, because I can escape the time field. Well, is he lying? Cumulus and Argon looked at each other, all traces of antagonism gone. No, they said simultaneously. He's telling the truth, added the behaviourist. Or, clarified the psychologist, at least he thinks he is. Root swabbed his eye with a cleansing solution. That's what I thought. When I looked that human in the face, I figured he was either a genius or crazy. Artemis's cool eyes glared at them from the screen. So, which is it? Asked Foley. Genius or crazy? Root grabbed his tri-barreled blaster from the gun rack. What's the difference? He snapped, strapping his trusty weapon onto his hip. Get me an outside line to E1. This foul person seems to know all of our rules, so I'm gonna break a few.